A reading from the Gospel of Matthew. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountains, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. Then he began to speak and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." Those words are very, very well known, much more so because of the way the church has tended to use the Bible, much more so than their equivalent passage that we find in Luke's Gospel. Luke sets up the Beatitudes in a rather more down-to-earth manner. Not blessed are the poor in spirit, but blessed are the poor, says Luke, and woe to the rich. Luke has Jesus dealing with the concerns of here and now, and I'm quite certain that Jesus had true concern for people who couldn't make ends meet and other such pressing, immediate daily life issues. But Matthew has Jesus speaking about things that are, if you like, more spiritual. Blessed are the poor in spirit and the meek and such like. Of course, both are equally important. But the bottom line that I think is the ultimate takeaway is that we have to be clear that we are people who are blessed by God. And while it sounds very easy to say, I think it's very tempting to fall into a trap even without noticing it, to live in a way which implies that if we're blessed, maybe we're blessed by our own efforts, or we're blessed by our employers who give us a big salary, or we're blessed by our politicians because they set things up in our city or state or nation in a way which happens to suit us. Today is the great feast of All Saints, and the word saint, which is just, of course, the Latin for holy, we find that word used a lot in the New Testament, simply to mean the baptized people of God. That's you and me. And the call to this sainthood is about knowing that we are blessed and who it is, principally, that is the source of that blessing. And Jesus says, and he says in powerful ways in Luke and in Matthew, that if you know you are blessed by God, that's going to impact the way you live your life. That is going to make sure that you remember to be humble, to be meek, to be a peacemaker, and, to pick up Luke's side of it, that you have an eye out, a serious eye out for the poor and the underprivileged. That way, the world will know who we are. That way, the world will know who we think has given us the greatest blessings in our lives. That way, the world might sit up and take notice in all sorts of ways, as Jesus makes clear at the end of that passage. This can cause trouble. If you are certain of God's blessing in your life, don't expect that always to play well with all of those around you. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Blessed are those who get into trouble because of my name, says Jesus. On this great feast day of the church, this feast day that is our feast day and the feast day of all those who went before us, let's make sure that our sense of blessing marks us out and shows the world that there are saints in abundance, alive and kicking for the sake of the gospel even today. Amen.